Good morning, dear Stitchers. It's Judy Whitman with JBW Designs, and I'm welcoming you to my home office. This channel is about cross stitch. It is Flosstube number 42. I think I'm almost getting to my 2-year anniversary in October, I think it is. So I have, as usual, lots of things to talk to you about and to show you. The theme of today's video is going to be a promotion that was started by Chrissy with Finally a Farm Girl and Annie with the Proper Stitcher and StitchyLinda, who is on Instagram. And I am so excited that they are doing this. They started, I think it's my very first JBW, it's hashtag JBW Ornament Sale. And it's for the month of August, and people are posting pictures already of things they've stitched. It's just great. So I thought I would share with you some not only finishing ideas for ornaments again, but also I'm going to show you a collection of sleds that I've designed over the years. And I have an antique to show you that I just purchased. I want to talk to you about an error that just occurred in one of the new books, which always makes my heart just kind of fall to my stomach when that happens. So lots of things on the list. So settle in, and thank you so much for joining me. I so appreciate those who take the time to watch and to comment and to write emails to me. I just love hearing from you. I feel like I have this whole new group of stitchy friends that I didn't even know existed in the past. So it's a wonderful thing to have. First of all, I want to show you, as I say, I have piles of things everywhere on my desk, the most beautiful card that Lisa sent to me, and it is handmade. I want to show you the inside because it has some darling little flowers on the inside that are three-dimensional, and she thanked me for shipping a booklet to her. And one of the things I thought I'd share with you, and I'll put this in the notes below, is that Lisa has an Etsy shop where she sells her cards, and it's called Lisa's Craft Room Design. So as I say, I'll post that in the notes below, but thank you, Lisa. I just love it, and I'm going to hang it up in my closet where I keep my favorite cards that I get. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you about? A couple things. All right. This has to do with my lack of French knowledge. So I showed this design last week, and I showed the model, and someone who actually is a French speaker wrote to me and said instead of saying La Pere Noel, it should be Le L-E Pere Noel. So if you are working on this piece, there is an E in the Noel that you could substitute for the A. And as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking I should add this to the corrections that I put not only on our website, but I try to also have my helper put them on the JBW Designs Friends page. So I will take care of that. I should have a little notepad here so I can write these down. So then another person wrote, let's see if I have it in my notes. Oh, I didn't write it down. And this is a design I showed last week. My head is spinning, isn't it? It was in one of the recent ornament collection booklets, and it was in a collection that was called Sweet Christmas Bags. And they were finished just as little bags that you could put trims in, candy, etc. So this is what the three designs look like, and this is what they look like finished. Well, my viewer suggested, why not make this just a little higher and put a gift card in there? And I thought that was a great idea. So I wanted to share that suggestion with you. And then another person wanted to know, and I forgot to answer this last week, where to buy comic board. And comic board, I'm going to show you in a minute, is what I use for a lot of my finishing. And I got that suggestion from a professional finisher. And oddly enough, comic board, or not oddly, is sold in comic book shops. And the collectors of comic books use them to store their comics so they're nice and flat. So they put the comic book in with this piece of cardboard that's pretty sturdy, and they put it in a plastic bag. So I happen to have a comic book store here in Kalamazoo, and many of you may not. So you can go to that kind of a store. They sell them in packs, I think, of 50. I think they're about 8.5 by 11. And it's just a white board, which I'm going to show you again in a minute. And then also, if you just go on to Amazon, you can buy a package there. I think it's like $10 for a package. And I know it's a lot of pieces. So maybe you have a couple friends that you can share your boards with. I think that would be helpful too. So now this is the part of my story today that, as I say, just made me not sad, but disappointed that I'd made this mistake. And I know that we're all human and we make mistakes. I didn't know about it, of course, until one of our viewers sent me a message yesterday. And it turns out, I'm going to show you where it's in the most recent collection. And we are going to try to fix this again on my Facebook page and on my website. And it is this ornament right here. I'm going to try to get up close so you can see it. So in the booklet, this ornament that is pictured is actually in book 1. And it looks like this. The ornament that should be pictured in this book number 4, which is actually the ornament that is charted in the booklet, is this design. So I feel okay with the fact that the chart is correct because I didn't want to duplicate charts from other books, but the picture on the front is incorrect. So I hope you'll forgive me. As I say, we'll try to make some adjustments so that people understand what has happened. And I've talked about this before. It's probably one of the hardest things that we as designers deal with, is that when we do make a mistake, we want to make it right for our stitchers, and we don't want you to be disappointed. So I thought I would tell you about that today. So that leads me, let's see, I had one other thing. I have a note here, but I'm going to wait and put that with something else. I'm going to put that with that. All right, too many notes. So I am going to kind of change my sequence of this video today. And that is because I want to talk to you first, before I even show you the sleds, about how to finish 2 different shapes. And one is going to be this little ornament that I just stitched yesterday. Believe it or not, I could not find this model anywhere. I have it stitched over 1 on 28 right here. I also have a model of it stitched over 2. It is missing in action. I have no idea where it disappeared to. So I quickly thought I better stitch a model of this so that we can put it on the website. And so today I'm going to show you how would I finish this model, because it's not an easy one. It has a stocking shape. It's not a square or a circle. So I've talked to you a little bit about this before, but I thought, oh, this will be good, always good to review it again. So what I did is I took this model and I just laid it on my printer, and I just made a black and white copy of the shape. And the reason that I need that shape is I need to make a template before I begin finishing. And it's easiest to make a template if you have a paper piece that you can use for tracing. So after I've made my copy and I've left a margin, you can see it's not a great margin, but it'll work, about 3/8 of an inch around the outer edge of my template. Then I am going to take that, and here's a piece of comic board, and I just traced that template onto the comic board. And the reason that comic board is so wonderful to work with is this can be cut out with scissors rather than an X-Acto knife, which you have to do with matte board. So I actually would start out making 2 of these shapes on my comic board, because one of them I'm going to use to cover with the design that I've just stitched, and the second little shape that I cut out I'm going to use for my backing fabric. And I like to do one other step with this whole sequence. So let's see. So first I've made my copy. You can see I've traced around. Then I've cut it out to make my template. There's one other step that I do. Now some people use batting, which is fine. As I've told you in the past, I like to use this peel and stick felt. And I just get it at Hobby Lobby. It's been cut down. I used half of it before. So what I've done is I've also cut a piece or cut out the shape of the stocking, and I'll cut this out of the felt and I will layer that onto the top of one of my boards. Before, let's see here, I should have cut this out for you. It's a little awkward. But before, I'm going to be gluing it around my stocking shape. So it gives it a little height, and if this isn't thick enough for you, I'm flinging things around here. If this isn't thick enough for you, layer a couple layers on to make it thicker before you wrap your stitch design around it. So you're going to wrap your stitch design around one of your shapes, and you're going to cover the second shape with your lining. And then I'm going to take those two stocking shapes and I'm going to put them together, and you can either glue those two shapes. Here, let me hold a finished one. So here's one with the finish on top. Here's the lining on the back. You're going to put those two together. You could glue them. I actually prefer to hand stitch them because sometimes the glue, when you're doing a trim, makes it very hard to get a needle through it. And it just looks nicer, I think, to do that. But if you glue it, it's fine. These are not going in any museum. So they're just going on a tree with probably hundreds of other ornaments. So then after I stitch those together, then I'm going to find some kind of trim to put around the edge. And again, you could glue the trim or you could hand sew it. And the reason I'm going through all these steps with the stocking is that I'm going to show you Christmas sleds today. And I want to talk to you about how would I finish a Christmas sled. And really the sequence that I've shown you today for the stocking is going to be, let me put this aside someplace. As I say, I have piles everywhere. Is the same that I would do with a sled. So why did I decide to do sleds today? I just thought it'd be kind of fun because I've been showing you ornaments, little tiny ornaments that you could stitch that are part of my design collection. But today I thought, oh, I'll pull out the sleds. I'm going to overwhelm you with sleds today, so I hope that's all right. So I actually have 4 designs that I've done that use the wooden sleds. And I'll show you each of the models in just a minute. So I have the Sledding Snowman, and that actually was stitched on a linen, a 28 count linen that was called Vintage Blue Whisper. It was a really nice pale blue, and it helped because it helped to show up the white, turn it this way, that's in the body of the snowman. I also have a sledding Santa, and all of these designs you're going to see have been worked not only, let me see if I have a picture. I don't have, let me see if I do on this. Nope, I lied to you. I do on the others. All of these designs have been stitched not only over 2 for the larger sleds, but I've also stitched them over 1. So I'll show you all the models in a minute. I also did a book called Little Red Sleds, and I'll talk to you. That has 3 designs in the booklet, and the ones on the cover actually are the smaller sleds, and these are stitched on, let's see, probably an antique white Belfast linen, actually not a Belfast, a 28 count linen over 1. So you can do them over 1 or over 2. It gives you a choice here. And then the last one is Little Green Sleds, and that too has 3 designs in it. So these sled pieces are really quite easy to finish, and after I show you the models and we talk about how to do it, I'm hoping to encourage you to try sleds as ornaments yourself. They're just so sweet. So I want to tell you a little bit about the sleds first. They're wooden. They have, a metal runner. They have a little holder up here at the top. I usually add a bow. And they actually they come in a dark brown. And I'm not real keen on the dark brown. I know there are a lot of people out there who have designed paper patterns, perforated paper patterns for the sleds. I prefer the linen, and I also prefer painting my sleds. So there's one set, obviously, as I told you about, that I painted a dark green, and I just get a spray paint from Hobby Lobby. Actually, my husband is very good about painting things for me, and he usually rigs up some kind of a hanging system outside, if it's still nice enough, to just suspend them from a string or something so that he can paint all sides of the sleds. So here is, let me show you. Oops, sorry about that. Kind of noisy. So here is the little red sled, and this is the design stitched over one. So I'm going to go back and go through each collection here for you so I can show you what they look like. And let's start with Sledding Snowman. Actually, I don't see Sledding Santa here. I think he's out at a trunk show, probably. So here is the first one I talked to you about, the Sledding Snowman. And this is the one that's been worked over two on a 32 count fabric. And then I also worked him over one. Let me get this up out of the way here. Just 1 second while sometimes these little things get kind of bent in a funny position. So here's the model worked over one. And they're just so sweet. You can hang them on branches. I think you could put a child's name in here if you wanted to. You could leave off some of the presents. You could also insert a date in there. It would just make such a sweet gift. So those are the two models from Sledding Snowman. Oops, sorry, they're noisy, aren't they? And I also worked the Sledding Snowman. If you didn't want to do a sled, I've also finished him as just a flat piece. And you can see what that looks like. And that would be easy to do too. It makes a nice ornament, and the finish on this would be exactly what I showed you with the stocking. I would make the template because this has a little curve on the top, or you could draw it yourself. So let's see, that is our first sled design. The next one, actually I only have a small ornament of it. The sleds, as I say, are out, is Sledding Santa. And he also is worked on that vintage blue whisper on a 32 count fabric, but I also worked him as a flat piece. And you can see in the center right here it says Joy. He has little charms on him. And the shops that order from me directly usually order the charms that go with the books. So now the next collection, I am surrounded by so many models. So little green sleds, let me show you those models. So that booklet contains the little gingerbread boy. And again, this would be a good place to put a name. You could eliminate the little border at the bottom. He has a little pom-pom on his hat. And let's see what here's the same design worked over one. And when I finish showing you all the sleds, then I'll go back and talk to you about how would you finish a sled, because that's something you need to know if you decide to tackle this. In the notes below, I'm going to give sources for the sleds. Before I started recording today, I went online to look. I don't have any on my website, but if it's something that you're really interested, I have carried them in the past. I don't have any in stock right now. I'd be glad to order the medium-sized sleds and the small sleds. However, there are a couple sources online. The sleds are made by Foxwood Crossings, and I believe they have a website, but I also noticed that Silver Needle, let me look at my notes here. Silver Needle had the mini sleds, the tiny ones that I just showed you, like this. They had theirs on the mini sleds on their website for sale, the unpainted ones. And then I also noticed that Hobby House, which is another shop on the East Coast, great shop, that she also had the medium-sized sleds on her website. So those are sources if you needed to order, excuse me for the noise, immediately. So let's go back to the rest of the collection here. I've shown you, I started to show you, I showed you the Gingerbread Boy in a little green sled booklet. Let's see, there's also, it's hard to be quiet with these on my desk here. There's also the little child's Christmas stocking. I think that turned out so well. It'd be great for a first baby gift, which reminds me, we have a first baby in our family. I better get working now and make one for this family. And then do I have the third one in that series? I don't think, yes I do, here it is. As I say, I'm surrounded by sleds. So the third in that booklet is the little gingerbread house. And this is what it looks like over two. And let me check the fabric on that booklet. Let's see, the over two designs were worked on a 32 count antique white, and the over one were worked on a 28 count over white. And I always put in the DMC colors. So here are the two little gingerbread models, worked over two and then worked over one. So we'll set those aside, and now I have three more sets to show you from the little red sled booklet. This came out a couple years ago, 2017. Same stitch fabric counts that I used in the previous one in the little green sleds. So let's show you those three designs up close because they look so adorable in person. For some reason, this sled has lost its handle. So again, I have to go on a search for that. But here is Noel. That is one of the designs in the red sled booklet. As I say, I just buy a red or green spray paint at Hobby Lobby to spray the sleds. Let those dry before I begin finishing. So there is also, I don't think I have the little one for this here, I don't. Joy is also in that booklet. And this is the design, of course, worked over two. And then the last design in that little red sled booklet, it's hard to say quickly, is the little village. And this is, again, let me grab this. Let's straighten this out first here. I tried to get the bows set ahead of time, but they tend to kind of move. So here's the little village, stitched over two and stitched over one. So a lot of these designs are fairly, I think, quick to stitch. You could probably do them in a couple nights. So now the next step is, how are you going to finish these if you decide to do a sled design? So I'm going to suggest to you that before you mount, you have your sled and it's plain, that you lay the sled, whether it's the little one or the larger one, again, write down on the top of your printer and make a copy. And I'm going to show you the back of the sled because this is key to doing the mounting of this design. So in this case, rather than making a copy of our stitch design like we did with the stocking, I need to have you make, let me show you the back of this one too. I need to have you make a copy of the top of this sled. You can see the shape on the back, but you're going to put it face down without the model on it, right on your printer, and make a copy. Because what you need to do this, and I'll show you, I made a little copy for you, is you need the shape, upside down, of the design so that when you make your template, you know that it's going to fit just right on your little sled. So I made this template by just putting my modeled down on the printer. I didn't have a blank one to use, but that's why it has stitching on it. And then I will do the next step just as I described in the stocking, and I will cut out a piece of comic board with my sled shape. And in this case, there is no lining on this because this is a fairly easy finish. It's a flat finish. So after you've cut out your cardboard, then you can mount your stitch design using batting or felt or something that you want to make it, give it some depth to it. You're going to glue your design, your stitch design, around this shape. And it is not as hard as you would think. As you're going around the curved top, you're going to kind of pleat your fabric. And you're going to be using fabric glue to do this. I use Aleene's fabric glue. And then along the edges, you can just fold it in. I would do the top and bottom first, and then the sides. And once you get your design mounted on your board, then you are going to, trying to see if this is still working, it kind of went off briefly. Then you're going to mount this piece that you've just finished around your cardboard with your batting onto your little sled. And I just use glue again to glue that piece down. And then I'm going to use, I did it on all of them. Let me show you on a larger one. Let's see if this one is in color. I just did a twisted cording around the edges of the design. And when you make your template, you want to leave a little bit of edge showing of the top of that sled. You don't want to cover it completely. I like having a little edge of the wood showing before I mount. So you want to make sure that when you mount, you're leaving space beyond your stitch design, but you also need to leave room to put your cording around the edges. So I'm hoping that that makes sense to you. If not, you know that you can always write to me and ask further questions about what I was trying to teach you today about. So I have, let's see, I want to look at my notes here. I have a couple more things to talk to you about. I have been buying, I'm backtracking. Expo, which is our needlework online show for shops, is at the end of August, and it will start 3 weeks from tomorrow. And so I am really busy getting ready for that. I have 6 new designs that are coming out, and they're all finished. They're ready to go to the gal who is my graphic artist who does the layout of the books and the photography of the covers. And so I'm real excited about that. But I've been buying some wood products to use for my new designs. And I thought I would share those with you. I have 2 new round designs. I'm not going to tell you what they are. I think my next video in 2 weeks, which is, let's see, what's the date today? I think it's the 5th. I think I will give you sneak peeks of the new designs then, because I think it's important to let my stitchers know what's coming out so you can contact your shops in case there's something that you want to order. So as I say, I've been buying products. All right, I'm going to show you the products, and I see something else I forgot to tell you about. So a couple things. So I have a design that I just did, and I've shown you that it's actually the Melinda Farrell sampler that I've been working on, that it's an antique that was stitched in 1801. And in my notes, oh my, now I have so many things on my desk. I'm trying to find, I have a little note here that has probably been buried. Oh, that's what happens when you have too many things. All right, I can tell you about it, and I'll put it in the notes below. So I went online to look for sources for horn books that I could mount this design on. And there are a couple of companies. StitchyLinda is one, and I'm going to talk about that company in a little while. But I also found another source called Homesteadneedleworke. And she's on Etsy. Actually, she sent me a couple of pieces to try out. I used the other one that she sent because I loved the shape of it. It had kind of a curved top to it. It was very graceful looking. And so these are unpainted. Obviously, I could paint it or stain it any color I wanted. And Homesteadneedleworke is just like it sounds, but the Works is spelled W-O-R-K-E-S. So I will put that in the notes below, but that is one source if you're looking for horn books. And she makes all sizes. So that's one product I thought I'd show you. Another product that I've used quite frequently with my round designs that I just love comes from Hobby Lobby. It's not seasonal, it's in their woodpile collection. It's a little box with a lid. And I paint these. A lot of times I'll put like another surprise design on the inside of the lid, but I love how these work as a finishing product. So I thought I'd give you a heads up on that one. Another one that I often use is this wooden board that is also from Hobby Lobby. It's just flat. There's nothing special to it, but it would work well for a round design. And you could put it on an easel. You could put a little hook on the back to hang on the wall. And again, that's fairly simple. I think 2 come in a package of this, but it works well with a round design. And then the other day, I just discovered this as I was walking through Target, and I thought, oh, this will work beautifully for one of my round designs. So I kept the tag on it. Let me show it to you first. It is actually a glass food storage container. But there are several things that I like about this. One is that the lid fits beautifully into the top of the jar, so that you don't, some of the finishes I've done, it was hard to get the lids to stay on top. The other thing is you could put candy in here, you could put all kinds of cute little accessories or whatever you thought of to fill the glass jar. I'm doing a Halloween one, so I'm thinking Halloween candy would be just darling in this. And this is called a glass food storage. It was actually in there. Do you know how you walk into Target and you see their sale items? It was actually right there in the beginning, and it was $5. So I felt like that was a bargain. So those are the 4 wood products that I've bought lately that I thought I would share with you. All right, backtracking. I forgot to show you that a couple weeks ago, last Sunday, I went to our monthly antique show that's in Allegan. And I found several things there. Oh, I found the most beautiful black hand-painted tray. I don't know if you can see. Let me show you. So I collect trays, painted trays. I have them in my office over the balances. But this tray, I'm not kidding, was like this big. I just loved it. So then I had to walk around the house and figure out where I was going to use it. So I actually have it on a coffee table downstairs in the family room, and I just have books and a vase of flowers and some of my blue and white china on that. So that was a good find. Another thing I found that was a true bargain was this wonderful brass easel. It was $2, and it will be great for displaying my pieces at the market. And then the third thing I bought, which was probably the most exciting, this is going to be awkward to show to you with the light, and that's not too bad, is that I bought another sampler. And I was hoping that the dealer would be there this time. It's a man from Philadelphia. He only comes to our antique markets once a year, and he usually has samplers. And this was, I'm going to show you. It's done in wool. It was stitched by, I'm going to set it down here so I can read it, by Eliza Coulter, age 17, in 1849. And there are several elements in this that I just love. I love the center section with the birds and the leaves. I don't think that I will be reproducing this sampler in its entirety, but there are so many elements in here that I'm going to be able to use for smalls. So one of them, let me set this down, is this little rosette right here. There are borders in the corners and down at the bottom. I just think it's going to be a wonderful resource. So I'm very excited about that find. Those probably won't be charted, oh gosh, probably for Nashville is probably my goal on that one. But I thought you'd be excited to see what I'd gotten. So I want to tell you some exciting news that I learned about in the last week. there are 2 new cross-stitch shops opening. And we love hearing this because, you know, so many have closed, so many people live in areas where they don't have a shop at all. So I thought I would tell you the little bit that I know right now about these 2 shops. So the first one is going to be opening in Farmington, Missouri, which is 75 miles southwest of St. Louis. The shop is called StitchyLinda. So this is, I've mentioned Kim before, Kim Gavlik and her daughter Ashley make wonderful wood products. And she's always had a dream to open a shop. She is opening on August 16th. And she and Annie described the shop in their last video. It sounds absolutely amazing. It's in the oldest building in Farmington. Excuse me. And she's opening, as I say, the 16th of August. So people have been writing to her saying, I'll make a road trip. They're so excited about it. So if you are in the area, I thought you'd love hearing that news. So that's one new shop that's coming. And then I just heard, secondly this week, that Annabella's, which is an online shop in Florida, and I don't have her shop address yet, but she and her husband are going to move permanently to North Carolina, and they are going to open a shop in Waynesville. And Waynesville is 30 miles southwest of Asheville. And I looked it up today to see the location. It sounds like it's beautiful. It's a very small town, just like Farmington, but it's in the Smoky and Blue Ridge Mountains. So I thought, oh, my stitchers are going to love hearing this wonderful news about these new shops. And as soon as I know more about Annabella's, or Elaine is the owner of that, the opening of her shop, I will talk to you about that in the next video. So we have prize winners today. And the prize people that I'm going to read, if you're listening to the video, the best way to contact me is through email. And my email is judy@jbwdesigns.com to send me your address. And hopefully you're a subscriber too, because we always want to grow this subscriber list. So my prize winners today are Joyce A., Norette H., and Carolyn S. So please write to me. You can choose any of the designs that I've shown today in today's video as your prize. I want to talk to you again about contacting me because I do have a website, jbwdesigns.com. I'll put that down below. And I do have a shop on that website, and I do have a lot of my older patterns that are listed that are for sale in case you're interested. I love receiving old-fashioned letters. And if you can't find a product that you've been looking for, just write to me. If you're looking for a pattern, a specific pattern, I can tell you if it's still available, if it's out of print. I have quite a few patterns that are still available, but they're very, very low inventory. So those are not often in the shops. They're older patterns, but maybe you've been looking for something specific, and just write to me and ask. So what else do I have to tell you? Oh, I have a life update. Last weekend, we've been trying for weeks to get both sides of my family together. My son and his wife and children, and my daughter and her husband and son Liam. And we've just had a devil of a time. And the reason I wanted to gather everyone is that our oldest grandson, Wyatt, and his wife, Kylie, are leaving in a week from Sunday, and they're going to be going to Kampala, Uganda for 10 months on a mission trip. And as I told you before, talking about this just kind of throws me actually, because I can't picture saying goodbye. But I wanted to have our whole family together one more time before they left. So we did it. We finally found a night that everybody could come. They all came here for dinner. It was a very simple picnic kind of dinner with hamburgers, etc. And we ate out on the porch, and there were lots of laughs. It was just a wonderful time. So I'm just getting so tearful about this, aren't I? But they are the nicest young couple. You would love them. I would love to have you meet them. They're just very special. Wyatt is going to be teaching in a school, and Kylie's going to be mentoring young women. I'm so proud of them. So what do I have going for myself this next week? I have a lot to do. I've got to write all the descriptions for Expo. I want to photograph all my models with props. And our garden is kind of a mess because we've had 2 huge storms go through the yard. I tried to go out to pick flowers for you today, and everything is kind of sad. It's kind of, the storms were so strong that everything is kind of laying on its side. So, but I managed to gather flowers for you. So thank you so much for watching. And I do have my quotation of the day to end my video with. So please write. I love hearing from you. And this is my thought for the day. Simplify. Slow down. Be kind. And don't forget to have art in your life. Music, paintings, theater, dance, and sunsets. And that was written by Eric Carle, who is a children's book author. And I want to add cross stitch to the list. So we want to enjoy all forms of art, and cross stitch is definitely one of those. So thank you again. You are the sweetest group I can ever imagine. And thank you to Chrissy, Finally a Farm Girl, and Annie of the Proper Stitcher, and StitchyLinda for sponsoring my Stitch Along for this month. So come join us. I'd love to have you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.